Lily's mother knows. Her daughter went to this team and came back and said that.
Since yesterday. You grew up since yesterday, yeah? Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a nice gesture. Make that happen. She's going to see her within the diary. No, they're right here now. Thanks. So Good luck, Chuck. Yeah.
Prepare. And like they're coming. But I'm gonna sit down. No, I'll sit over here.
Six. It's all right. But yes, who are rest of the stuff I know.
Well, it'll be interesting if I can get out of here.
I'll get you out of
Let's roll. Sure. Where are they? Your family. We went on vacation. I know, to where? That's for this vacation. Turn around the next day. So they're on their way back. They're here tonight. Just because country was closed on Friday because of Christmas Eve, and by Sunday it's already like almost too late. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are upon service time. If I can remind you to please turn off your cell phones for the service. And there are a few extra chairs. The family's been seated, so please don't feel bashful. Come forward and take a seat.
Adonai ma'adam v'teduehu, ben enosh v'ticha shvehu. Adam lehevel dama yamav k'tzeh lover, b'boker yatzitz v'chalav, le'erev yimalel v'yovesh. Kashev enosh adaka v'tomer, shuvu b'nei adam. Luchachmu yaskilu zot, yavinu la'acharitam. Lo v'moto yikach hakol. Lo yered acharav kivodo. Shemor tamu re'ei yashar. Ki acharit le'ish shalom. Podeh Adonai nefesh avadav. Lo yeshmu kol hachosim bo. Oh God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are as a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to revert to dust, saying, return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright, for they shall have peace. God, you redeem the souls of your servants, and none who trust in you shall ever be desolate. At this time, I'd like to call upon Rabbi Meyer, who's Tom's rabbi and known to the family very, very well.
Shir Amalos, Psalm 121. Shir Amalos, Esoina lehorim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri mem Adonai, Osei shomayim ba'oretz. Al yitein lamoit raglecho, al yonum shemerecho. Hinei v'yonum v'lo yishon, shomer Yisrael. Adonai shemerecho, Adonai tzilcha yad yiminecho. Yom HaShemesh lo yakeko v'yoreach ba'loilo. Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra yishmor es nafshecho. Adonai yishmor tzeitzcho v'yecho me'atov yad olam. Psalm starts off, I raise my eyes to the mountains, from where will come my help? Sages say the mountains, those powerful, rock solid things that stand in front of us. One of the understandings refers to the patriarchs. Our mothers and fathers are somebody who hopefully we can look back to always to gain strength from and to learn from, and whose memory and whose impact will stay with us forever. May it be so with your mom. May she rest in peace.
Elohim Elohim, our God and God of all generations. Thou who governest all things with infinite wisdom and mercy, and who guidest the destinies of all of humankind. As a parent, have you loved us and showered your blessings upon us. Therefore, we shall not murmur even when sorrow befalls us. But with humility and unfaltering trust, we shall accept your decrees. In joy and in sorrow alike, we praise your goodness and acknowledge your justice. We remember that we are but strangers upon earth. Like a shadow, our life flees away. Help us, O God, so to walk in your sight, that when the few years of our earthly pilgrimage are ended, we may be ready to meet our end with tranquil mind. To thee we look for comfort and strength. When one of our beloved is taken from us and a link is broken in the chain of love, though we walk in the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil. Thou art with me. Thou art with us. Praised, O eternal our God, in all your dispensations. Sanctified be your name, now and forevermore. Let us all sing together. This time I'd like to call upon Hadar, who is going to share some words from her dad.
Thank you, Rabbi Forster. Thank you, Aunt Jan, for dealing with all the, logistics and making sure everything's taken care of. Thanks. Okay, it warms my heart to see family and those of you who have acted as family to us here. While I wish it was under better circumstances, it means so much to us and our family to see you all here and to have you celebrate our grandmother and my mother and my father's mother. Unfortunately, my parents are unable to be here today. My father, desperate for some time and a vacation to get away from life circumstances, went away with my mother. But as we know, while man plans, God laughs, and the news of my grandma's passing came a day after they left. They're currently on their way home, but unfortunately, we're just not able to make it today. To them, while they of course wished that they were present, it was their priority to ensure that grandma's soul be put to rest as soon as possible, as in accordance to Jewish law. The following short remarks were written by my father that I will read on his behalf. As baby boomers growing up in the US in the 1960s and 1970s, we were very lucky. Through no choice of our own, we picked a good time to be born and a good family to be born into. America was the center of the world. Dad ran a successful business. Mom ran a beautiful home, and life was great. We lived in Denver, Colorado, and people from the East Coast still thought our part of the country was God's country. We lived in the best house in the neighborhood because Crestmore Park was an extension of our front yard. We even had a beagle named Peppy that looked like Snoopy. We went to public schools that still taught some degree of discipline and where there were definite boundaries for right behavior and wrong behavior. We went on wonderful trips across the state and across the country, and even to some very exotic foreign places. There were Jeep trips, boat trips, snowmobile trips, and more. We even learned how to ski, and we did a lot of it, even though it was one of the few things that Dad wasn't so into. But basically, Dad was into almost everything, and Mom supported all his activities. Mom had her hobbies too: swimming, dancing, golf, playing bridge, and many others. We were exposed to a great many good things, and we learned to live a great life. Mom and Dad had a strong marriage, and each knew their role in the relationship. Dad ruled the business in the garage. Mom ruled the house. This was the arrangement, and it was deliberate, and it basically worked. Mom knew that a good relationship took a lot of work because Mom didn't always have a good life. She had many challenges in her younger years. She dealt with broken family issues and Depression-era economic issues and losing her only sibling during World War II. Mom was tough and she knew how to take care of herself. That's why she lived to be 95 and almost till the very end, a wonderful model of physical health. Almost always her advice regarding how we should take care of ourselves was spot on. Like all people, Mom had her faults. Sometimes they were overwhelming. Mom was a human, but today we focus on all the good. We remember the good values we were taught and the good life we learned to live because Mom and because of Dad. They are together now, once again. May their good memories continue to be a blessing for us. Thank you.
Now we'd like to call upon Tom's daughter, Ashley, to share some thoughts of her own about her grandma.
Rabbi Foster. Thank you to everyone who's joining us today. My name is Ashley Spitzer. And if my grandma Helen were here, she'd tell you I was her first granddaughter and first grandchild. She'd say you should have seen me shine at my graduation from my master's program in counseling. And then she'd go in order and tell you that next came her grandson, Neil. Brilliant, bold, and gentle, and boy was she proud of Neil and their bond. His ability to continue building on his brilliance in academia, most recently at the University of Chicago, made her light up. Next, her granddaughter, Hadar, her birthday twin, with an excellent head on her shoulders. A girl that knows what she wants, is organized, and knows how to get it. And an amazing cook, too. Oh, and of course, Hadar's funny and handsome husband, Moshe, who she loved speaking Yiddish with. Next, she'd tell you about Seth, who she'd call Sethi. Compassionate, kind, a source of so much joy and comfort for her. She always felt connected to Seth and spoke so highly of his aura and character. Then there was Shirley, or Cherylee, her youngest granddaughter, absolutely beautiful, driven to succeed as a PA, mature and always smiling. She loved the cheerily embodied happiness. And if you met her in the last year, she'd ask you if you've met the baby. Oh, have you seen that baby? She is so cute. My first great granddaughter and the cutest thing you've ever seen, before asking one of us to take out pictures to show Tehillah and share. Despite her confidence and always standing with her head held high, my grandma faced a lot of pain throughout her childhood that I believe impacted her in many ways. A broken family in some ways, abandonment from some relatives, a mother whom she loved dearly, but who was illiterate and whom she was obligated to help with every task. And then there was her hero and North Star since her birth, her brother Jerry, who was killed around age 22 in action during World War II, where he served in the Air Force and died during a bombing mission over Italy as a member of the B-24 crew. I don't think my grandma ever fully recovered from losing Jerry. And with the loss of her boyfriend in the war as well, these events and the struggles of her childhood hardened her in a way that made her tough at times, but gave her what she needed to face what seemed like a world that took away much of what she loved. And yet, with all the trials and tribulations she faced and the complexity those scars brought into her relationships, my grandma Helen absolutely loved being a grandma. Every opportunity to spend time with her grandchildren brought her so much joy. Growing up as a millennial in Denver, I was always aware of my privilege and having a grandmother who was a fiercely independent woman, healthy, supportive, and always there for us, whether to support us financially when we needed anything, to have us over for a sleepover, take us on trips, talk to us on the phone, or light up a room with her proud smile when attending our events. From choir performances to our bar and bat mitzvahs to our graduations, she would always be present smiling with something new and beautiful to wear for herself and anyone in attendance. She was so proud to be our grandma and made it clear to us that she was there for us however she could be. My grandma never shied away from giving us advice on how to care for ourselves best, as her excellent care of herself is what led to her long and healthy life of 95 years. Always pay your credit card bill off right away. Do not eat too much chocolate or pizza. It will give you pimples. Always eat a healthy breakfast with grains and fruit. Watch your figure. You've got to exercise and find a way to love it. Wash your face 2 times a day. You've got to work hard and always save your money. No one's going to save it for you. And for goodness sake, Hadar, stop rubbing your eyes. With all of her firm advice, my grandma would still end the conversation by saying, well, whatever you need, you let me know. I'm here to help you, and all I want is for you to be happy, happy, happy. We never doubted this. Grandma always wanted our happiness, and her wish had always been a guiding factor behind my decisions. It has and will continue to always guide us, whether it be to a Zumba dance class, a paid off credit card bill, and most of all, in moving towards what brings us joy and purpose in this world. With my maternal grandparents living in Israel, may their memory be a blessing, and my grandpa Norman passing on before I was born, who my grandma and father and aunt would always speak of with so much respect and love, may his memory be a blessing. Outside of my wonderful parents, my grandma was the most consistent and present adult figure in our lives. Even though we would sometimes bicker, we always knew that she was the definition of what it means to have someone who loves you in your corner, ready to support us in the pursuit of our happiness. It is very weird to imagine a world where my grandma isn't available for an impromptu visit or a phone call away at any time, always excited for an opportunity to be in our presence. My grandma loved activities and adventure, and she loved bringing us along for the ride, whether in the '88 Oldsmobile Tornado, Mercury Sable, or PT Cruiser. We'd usually get at least 2 shopping sprees at the mall a year, followed by lunch somewhere divine in Cherry Creek. And we'd always get a tour of the roses in her garden, an open invitation to accompany her to any Zumba class, a ticket to whatever new movie we wanted to see, and even a Disney cruise. When visiting her house, there was a famous corkboard with pictures of us grandkids, smiling and doing what we loved, where she'd always pause to show us the newest additions. I vividly remember her singing Unforgettable by Nat King Cole in the kitchen while making what came to be my favorite grandma breakfast, oatmeal square cereal with bananas and blueberries, dancing around us and singing as she mindfully prepared it, throwing in reminders of how we should care for ourselves best, always with our best interest in mind. And along with all the gifts she continued to give us throughout her life, which were abundant, the greatest gift my grandma could possibly give my sisters and I was our unmatched father, our North Star, the person we can depend on to show us unconditional love and care for us unconditionally, no matter what changes in the world around us. Being my grandmother's kid was a tough task, and yet my dad and my Aunt Jan came to become the most exceptional parents that gave us all loving grandmother and an unsurpassed set of devoted parents. We couldn't be more grateful to you. In the last 4 years, my grandma, who always prided herself and impressed us all with how well she cared for herself independently, struggled with losing the ability to live so liberally. It was hard for us to watch her struggle with this acceptance. She became softer and sweeter as she grew older, sharing stories of her past with us and always reminding us of her one wish: don't worry, be happy. She talked a lot about my great-grandpa Norman, and in the last few years, there was never a visit where she didn't bring up her late brother, Jerry. As she started to struggle with dementia, she so badly hoped to see Jerry or that he would come to see her. And while I can't say I fully grasped the reality that my grandma has left this earth for the world to come, it does bring me great comfort knowing that she is finally with Jerry and her beloved husband, Norman. As we all do after losing a loved one, I wish I called more and checked in more. I wish I made sure to visit her on Monday night before she passed. I wish I told her even one more time how much I appreciated her generosity and knowing she was always on the other side of the phone so that she could say, "Ashley, finally, you called me? I thought you forgot about me," as Jewish grandmothers always do. But then quickly asking if I was happy, sharing her advice and wisdom, always with the emphasis of pursuing what fueled my fire and brought me joy. Her presence will live on in all of us. I hear her voice whenever I reach for chocolate or pizza, when I consider skipping the gym or breakfast, and definitely whenever I go to Cherry Creek Mall. I think of her wish for my happiness and have adopted the value of joy in everything I pursue, both personally and professionally. I know how proud she was of me, my sisters, and my cousins for pursuing what made our soul light up, and I think of her often as I move through my day, work as a therapist, and proudly hold my role as an older sister and the oldest grandchild. I will miss her always, and I hope that all of us hold on to Grandma Helen's eternal wish for our pursuit of happiness and peace. I love you, Grandma. We love you dearly. Baruch Bayam Ha'emet. May her memory be a blessing.
Thank you, Adar. Thank you, Ashley. You know, there's no piece of literature used more often at moments like this than the words of the 23rd Psalm. And sometimes we wonder, what did David have in mind, King David, when he wrote this? sometimes we think that it's an appropriate psalm to read because it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, but we don't think too much about that. I learned a long time ago from one of my professors that King David may have had something very different in mind. And what he had in mind was that when one of our loved ones dies, we have to walk through that valley. We can't get stuck in it. No matter what the issues are, we have to walk through that valley and come to that realization that that person is gone and that we have to lift up their memories and try to do the best that we can in our lives so that the goodness that was within them will continue. So it's with that in mind, I'm going to read the psalm in Hebrew. If you know it, please join with me. And then we'll read it in English. And if you know any of it, please say it with us. Adonai roi lo exor benotesha yarbitzeni al me menuchotin haleni. Now shir shaved yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech b'geit samavet. Lo ira ra ki ata imadi. Shivtecha mishantecha hema yenachamoni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sororai. Shanta v'shemen roshi kosi ravaya. Ach tov v'chesed. Yirdefuni kol yamei chayai. Shavti b'beit Adonai. La'orech yamin. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. Guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of God forever. Poet has written, birth is a beginning, and death is a destination. Life itself is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage. From childhood to maturity and from youth to age. From innocence to awareness, from ignorance to knowing. From foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom. From weakness to strength or from strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness and back we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from grief to understanding, and from fear to faith. From defeat to defeat until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, the sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination. Life itself is a journey, the sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage, from birth to death to life that is everlasting. Beloved family, dear friends, permit me just a few moments to add to the very beautiful words that have been shared with us about Helen. I've known Helen for 52 years. Remember being in that house. As a matter of fact, when Jim Cohen called me the other day, first thing I said to him is, I said, she used to live right off of Crestmore Park, right on that corner. And because I've been there, I knew her well. I'm sad for all of you, for the obviousness about what life is, and life is complex for all of us. We have to live with those complexities. We have to live with all of those uncertainties. We have to try as best we can to deal with them in order to make life and make more sense out of life. These times are hard for all of us. Not just because your mother is gone, your grandmother is gone. Not only because your dad couldn't be here, and we hope that he will be comforted. I know he'll listen to the tape, and I hope he'll be comforted by that. And I hope he'll be comforted by those of you who have come to express your own personal condolences. But it's a hard time. Always difficult. And 95 years makes it even more difficult. She lived a long time, whatever reason. Yeah, probably because she took good care of herself physically. That's probably true. Probably because she wouldn't let anything get in her way to what she wanted. I mean, she was a special kind of human being. And as I'm looking around and you're smiling, you understand what I'm trying to say. But our task, your task, as family, as friends, in spite of it all, to live life as long as it is ours to live. To rob death of its ultimate victory by living life. And by taking those parts of her life that really need to be lifted up, by taking those parts of her life and lifting them up and passing them on to the next generation, even to that little baby, who is very cute, but not the cutest grandchild that I know. It's wonderful that she had a great grandchild. And whether she understood that or not is irrelevant. You know, I think about people like Helen, because they came from, this is true, they came from an intermarriage. A different kind of intermarriage, but an intermarriage. She was first generation born in this country. Yes, it was probably hard for her that her mother was not able to do everything she would have liked to see her mother be able to do. It's part of who she was and where she came from. Eastern Europe was not an easy place. And when people came here, even though her mother probably came here as a child, maybe a young child, I don't know. She was a person who came here because her parents perhaps wanted the best thing for their children, namely freedom. That's why they came here. Yes, I know that they came here to escape anti-Semitism. That's true of every Jew who left Eastern Europe. They came here to find freedom. They came here to find something better for the next generations. They came here with a legacy. And they bequeathed something to their children. They bequeathed to them the idea of securing the freedom that they came here to find. I say this very often when there's somebody who's first generation. I think about the fact I was in Ethiopia a number of years ago, during that time when all the Ethiopian Jews were coming to Israel. We'll all remember that period of time. I was there in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, with the next plane load of new immigrants. And we came on a plane with them. But where were they before they left? They all went to the cemeteries where their loved ones are buried to say goodbye, knowing full well that they were leaving behind hundreds of years and generations of people who were a part of their lives. And then they came here and they found freedom. And they wanted the next generation to secure that freedom. Your mom, your dad, they did that. How many times have we heard those stories? The first generation American Jews succeeding in life, making sure that their children, grandchildren, would have a better life. And they did it. And what did they bequeath to you? They wanted continuity. And I think about that. Almost all of you went to Denver Jewish Day School. What could be better in terms of understanding continuity than to educate our kids? I believe that. That's why I was one of those founders of Denver Jewish Day School. Herzl School, as it was called, was founded in my office. Because we all believed that continuity was important. And you, all of her grandchildren, you understand that. Even if it isn't emblazoned in lights, you do understand what that means. And you're doing the best that you can to continue in that format. And so it's difficult to come to this time, but to understand who she was. Can't understand who she was unless you understand what her task was in this world. And I do believe that you have tasks as well, you as family. Jan, you, your brother, your spouses, all 5 of these grandchildren, beautiful grandchildren. And that little baby, 1-year-old, great-grandchild. I honestly do believe that you all have tasks, and they are 4. First is to grieve, but not only because she's gone, but because of some of the things that didn't happen in life, that couldn't happen in life, that were difficult to happen in life. To grieve for that as well. Secondly, I think it is to wonder about the mystery of birth, yes. Being raised, yes. And also the mystery of life beyond this life. Glad that you said they would be reunited. If that's the case, I don't know. I don't know. We all have different beliefs about what may or may not happen when we're gone. I say that all of the time. And not one significant belief is any better than any other. It's only good for us if we will take that belief that we have and we will live by it. Whether it is to make this world a better place and not worry about an afterlife, or whether it's to understand that there is an afterlife and we're leaving something behind, whatever it happens to be. People say to me all the time, Rabbi, what's going to happen when I die? I say I have 2 answers. Number 1, I don't know. I've never been there. We can all smile at that. And number 2, I say, I am not anxious to find out. That we'll laugh at, because we all understand the irony, the fact that we really don't know. And we have to live our life. And we have to pick up the parts of a loved one's life and live by those wonderful parts that they leave behind. Third task is to remember the moments of joy, and unfortunately for all of us, the moments of sorrow, the moments of difficulty, because they're all part of this process of living. They're all part of the complexity of human existence. To remember what might have been, to remember what was. And lastly, I think that the last task for at least the 5 of you, and the 6, including that baby, is to emulate who she was in her highest moments of living. Not her most difficult moments, and we know that there were difficult moments. And by the way, there are difficult moments for each and every one of us, no matter who we are. None of us is a perfect human being. And she was no less perfect than any of us. But to remember who she was in her highest moments, and to try as best you can to lift those moments up and pass them on to the next generations. And I say that with an S, because there will be other generations to come. And they won't necessarily know who she was, except by the memories you shared and the way in which you tried to emulate who she was in those highest moments. She was very proud of you, her grandchildren, as you so beautifully said. And she understood what it meant to be independent, to care for herself. She understood that intimacy was hard for her, whatever the reasons. And we can't possibly understand all of that, but we can understand that intimacy was difficult for her. She also loved the simpler parts of life. You told me yesterday that she loved her garden. And then you specified that she loved her roses. And you had such a wonderful smile on your face, Gina. That means that she took and look at those roses and saw something unique and special in each and every one. And maybe that is the way she tried to compensate for whatever difficulties she knew she had. Maybe, I don't know. But I do know that she really would want moments like this not to pass without trying to understand who she was. Tom, you were her caregiver these last years. And you did a great job helping her to be as fulfilled as she could be, given the difficult circumstances under which she lived. I believe that we're here because death teaches us how to live. Death never teaches us how to die. It teaches us how to live. And we, in our lives, have to live more fully because of those who have gone before us. I want to read this little aphorism for you. I use this not so often, and I usually use it in a different way, but for today, I think this would be appropriate. Oriental rugs, which are found in many homes, are all woven by hand. Usually there will be a group of people weaving a single rug together under the direction of an artist who issues instructions to the rest of the group. He determines the choice of colors and the nature of the pattern. It often happens, though, that one of the weavers inserts the wrong color thread. The artist may have called for blue and instead black was used. If you examine an Oriental rug carefully, and I don't mean the machine-made ones, I mean the handmade ones, you may be able to detect such irregularities. What is significant about them is that they were not removed. The skillful artist just proceeded to weave them into the pattern. Here is a wise procedure that we can follow in life. We should like the pattern of our lives to be woven exclusively of bright colored threads. But every now and then, the dark thread steals into the fabric. If we are true artists of life, we can weave even this thread into the pattern and make it contribute its share to the beauty of the whole. This family is the beauty of the whole. Yes, there have been times where a dark thread has found its way into the pattern. But hopefully you as a family will be able to weave around that and to work around that and bring the art of your own lives to this moment of memory. And I pray that that will be happening for all of you in these days to come. It is in that spirit then that we resolve to face our grief without self-pity, but with bravery and integrity, keeping before us forever the blessings that God conferred upon us in this life that he but lent to us for these many decades. And in a world where our most precious goods are perishable, let us resolve to honor our beloved dead by being so good to the living, so kindly, so understanding, so forgiving, so transcendent of pettiness, that in our love for her we shall hearken to those who remain and who need us and our strength. May it be through new relationships and new service to humanity that we make good our loss. And in the beauty of our own lives, we erect the noblest monument to our mourned dead. Unless the beauty of her life will ever abide among us all as a living and loving benediction. Adonai Natan v'Adonai Lakach. Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach me'atav v'ad olam. God has given. God has taken away. Praise be the name of God, now and forevermore. And let us all say together, Amen. Amen. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember her. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, We will remember her. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember her. In the blueness of the sky and in the heat of the summer, we will remember her. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember her. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember her. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we will remember her. When we have achievements based on hers, we will remember her. So long as we live, she too shall live. For she now is a part of us, and we will remember her. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar etchem betzalmo v'zan chilkel etchem betuvo, v'himit etchem badin v'natah b'tochechem chai olam. Baruch atah Adonai dayan ha'emet. We praise you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who forms us in the divine image, who nourishes and sustains us in your goodness, causing all of us to die, implanting immortal life within us. We praise you, O God, the judge of truth. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai rav le'oshea, mechalkel chaim b'chesed, mechayeh kol berachamim rabim. Sumeich noflim v'rofei cholim u'matir asurim, u'mekayem emunato l'shenei afar. Eternal is your might, O God, all life is your gift. Great is your power to save. With love you sustain the living, with great compassion you give life to all. You send help to the falling and healing to the sick. You bring freedom to the captive and keep faith with those who sleep in the dust. We praise you, O God, who implants eternal life within us. Spirit of God, within which your soul is staying. I'm going to ask those in the immediate family if you would like to place some dirt in this grave to please step forward with this. If you want to, you can. It's up to you. It's up to you. The dust returns to the earth as it was. The spirit returns to God who gave it. It is only the house of the spirit which has been laid within the bosom of the earth. The spirit itself cannot die. For here too our dear ones continue in the loving remembrance of those to whom they were precious. Receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our beloved Helen, our Spitzer. Grant her that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen nor ear has heard, nor mind has compassed it, still it is our sure inheritance and our everlasting portion, now and forevermore. I would ask you now, dear family, to please rise, that we might recite together the words that have been hallowed by centuries of faith, the words that have been glorified in our tradition, words of the Kaddish prayer. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabba, Yalma Divrach Yerutei, Yamlich Malchutei, Chayechon v'yomechon, Chaye B'chol Beit Yisrael, V'agalau v'zman kari v'yimeru Amen. Shehei Shemei Rabban Orat, Le'olam v'le'olmei Olmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei B'kudsha, Ve'elam in kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Da'amiran v'yalma v'yimeru. Ve'elam in kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Da'amiran v'yalma v'yimeru. Amen. Yehei shalom alaba min shemaya v'chayim. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Useh shalom b'mama. Ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Yilmo lerachamim shofim b'momim. Ametzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashekina. Im kedoshim v'torim k'zohar harakim azirim. Et nishmat Chana Ruth bat Shmuel Halevi. Shehalacha la'olamo. Al halachamim. Yasti reha b'seiter k'nafav le'olamim. Vayitzvor b'tzvor ha'chaim et nishmata. Adonai hu nechalata v'tanuach b'shalom. Al mishkavav v'nomar amen. O God, full of compassion, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence. And to Helen our Spitzer, who has entered into eternity, the God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be thou her possession, and may her repose ever be peace. The departed whom we now remember has been called unto the peace of life eternal. She shall still live on earth in the acts of goodness she has performed. And in the hearts of those who will ever cherish her memory, we pray that the beauty of her life will ever abide among us all, the living, in loving benediction. May the source of peace send peace unto all you who mourn, and may God comfort all the bereaved among us, among Israel, and all the nations and the families of earth. We sing together. Go your way, for God has called you. Go your way, and may God be with you. May your righteousness go before you. May the glory of God receive you. Let us all say together.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That does conclude our service.
Not my favorite, but that's the way it is. Beautiful. You love. Yeah, you do. Want me to come? What's your name? Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. My mom loves your game.
Yeah.
Probably kindergarten. I swear. It's fine. Watch it.
Thanks, thanks.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for coming.
Hi. My mom loves you.
And the time I had.
They used to work out together.
Oh, really?
I
did not know that.
Did you know my mom used to work out with your grandmother?
No, but that doesn't surprise me. I don't even she have a friend. No. All my parents together tonight. Between sugar Friday. No, I think he was all tonight for Karen. She lived a long life, you know. So we were able to watch her be buried, but she,
Gotta get you to hear.
she made it long. We could all wish for her. Yeah, right. Really?
How did you do that? Right, Mom? You used to work out. I'm so sorry.
I'm around.
See, I told you.
I know. I just bought a house. So I've been very
We used to work out
I'm
together, right?
excited, but it's very hard to do alone. And I'm both proud of myself and kind of like frustrated. It's so hard to do.
Let your parents know.
Oh my God. I know it's a local, but it was pain and my father fence broke. Did a roll around. It's miss my parents. It's her father.
He's like trying to like get back here on the plane.
Maybe I could go back and get like kind of like James time of year.
Yeah, right. Because we're honestly like setting aside
Like
having a word time obviously not planned, but like
yeah, it's like today when they had the day that they already out. So they were on the chamber and like the 225 is just yeah. So I mean it's okay. Never stuck in the middle of the award. I saved for a year with my parents for 15 months and I'm not. I'm proud of myself. Yeah, I kind of got to closing and then I like crashed.
my father was very like, I want to
No,
I'm going back.
got to closing and then I was like, okay, now we have to do
Yeah, he'll be
Thankfully, nothing has to be done immediately. There was a raid on it. We were like, the earlier thing.
Okay. Well,
I hope it goes well. I'm a little nervous that I move and crash.
no, my baby's at home, but yeah,
I
just
hope
I have a
not,
babysitter. She's going to work for here. Great, it's turning one.
What happens? Like,
It's unbelievable, right?
Still shocked.
So very like,
I think it'll be
fast,
good.
right?
And it's supposed to really fast. Yeah.
She was in the
Taking my time moving.
But yeah, so that's
Okay,
what happened.
well,
Where it's like, so this is started.
Yeah.
From my
Yeah,
father's
we're
back.
glad we could do that.
Yeah, I know what's going on and they're just like, okay, sign this.
She is fine.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's not rushed, but I think that that's, it definitely wasn't impulsive.
Yeah, they used to
She's
be
doing great.
I always hear stories.
So sweet.
Is it?
Yeah. It was great way around that really.
I know myself, but it was great. I'm in New York. I flew in today with Zadar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was only and then I moved. Yeah, no, it's from Israel to New York. I moved to New York a year ago.
Oh.
And then it is.
Mom.
I'm just here. I'm here for the weekend, and then I'm going back.
School.
And then I'm graduating in a year from January. PA. Hopefully, you're praying we get there. It's hard. So we'll see. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get through it. But yeah. Just the weekend. I'm leaving on Sunday. My father's gonna start tonight. Or he's gonna start. He's gonna start
Keep
today.
that before.
He's gonna
That's
ship a
forgot you.
little bit today. And then tonight. So yeah.
I know.
The especially for Friday, yeah. 7 days. It's about 7 days. Yeah. It is 40. So thank you so much for coming. It really means a lot. Right.
I hope.
Yeah, she's leaving Sunday also, and then her husband's coming tonight. Yeah, he had a really impressive had it with the babysitter. So Dar was like, I don't. Yeah. I'm leaving. I think I'm leaving tonight. I'm leaving in the morning because they're going to Baltimore. Where they're going to do this. Of course, yes. Okay. No, people are bringing it already. Like I asked.
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure. Yeah, I'll ask my mom to let you know. Once I find out, I'm like already ordered. No, it's like it's already ordered. It's like so when your dad goes. Even if I wanted to do it,
She was like, grateful. I couldn't also like. It's late. And when the last time I looked, stuff.
yeah. We're leaving on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll make mistletoe. Put it out for Helen.
I don't think so. But tomorrow.
I went like this too.
I know a wolf, like
On my face there because you know she was
those
so
people and
Yeah.
she was warm.
Yeah.
And then she looked at me.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Such a long life, good health, so many.
I know. Oh, God, do I know? I know.
I think I cried more than she could have to my dad.
Really? Right. Yeah, this really got out. So, okay, here we are
Give you her.
on the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, she has. Me too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, he had to just mention Puppy, obviously. Is that his name? Yeah.
I know.
Kind of threw that in there just in case. Right, that's what I'm yeah. That would do it.
For a couple of years. So that was when she did that.
Yeah.
Through perseverance.
I have to get back to the babysitter, but what I mean, I don't know.
Are you gonna come tomorrow?
What?
Yeah.
Want to come, please?
I know.